Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This from a church bulletin in Iowa. I quote, "Weight Watchers will meet at 7 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church. Please use large double door at the side entrance." Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor. Very proud of these folks. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, buddy. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Wheels. Good to have you in the saddle over there, buddy. Thank you very much. And right now, let's also go to the weather forecast. KNR Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Oh, boy, they get there early in the morning to serve you. Throw open the doors at 7 o'clock. You better believe it. Number to call, 678-3122. And they've got all your tools, equipment, forklifts to lawn mowers. And they've been in business since 1979. Good morning, Roger and the crew at KNR Rental. And right now, let's go to the weather. Here's Scotty.
Well, we're going to have pretty decent sunshine for the eclipse. Good morning, Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. Today, expecting sunshine and a high around 88, except for around 11:30. Going to have some obstruction. Clear tonight with a low of 54. Sunshine tomorrow, a high of 92. Partly cloudy for Tuesday night, expecting a low of 59. Then maybe a chance of some showers moving in on Wednesday, around 20% chance of that happening, and a high of 86. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Hey, Scotty, you did a great job this morning, buddy. I appreciate it. Brought to everybody by KNR Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, and they're a Honda engine dealer, too. And they've got all the parts you might need for wheel lines at KNR Rental, 678-3122. Thank you. Oh, by the by, Daryl's Cleaners. They can clean anything and take your rumply crumplies and make them look brand spanking new. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, I'm absolutely amazed every time I take a bag of clothes in there. And boy, my clothes, some of them look a little bad. They come back looking brand new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and they can also do your washing for you. Wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
This is a wonderful day. This is my wife's birthday.
I have a card right here that Deanne just literally 30 seconds ago, true story, handed me a little card that says, don't forget to mention Nancy Cottom's birthday is today.
Yeah, and she's also sent us a lovely card, and we appreciate that very much. What I want to talk about for a moment or so, if I could, is about the senior citizens.
Okay, quickly.
You know, they have this pass that's called a Golden Age Pass.
Yes.
That lets you into all of the national parks throughout the United States free of charge. Now, today, I understand is the last day that you can get it for $10, and then the price goes to $80.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week, as a matter of fact, Keith. And, we had it on the air extensively last week. And, I know a lot of people are on fixed budgets and everything. And the annual senior pass has been $20, but now it's going to jump up to $80. And it's going to make it a lot tougher for quite a few people. So I urge you to try to get in there today and take care of this before that increase, because $80 is a lot more than $20 pass.
I got mine back when it was $10. But where do you purchase this where we're not near a national park?
Well, hold on a second. Let me see. I think you can go to, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this morning because I don't have a lot of time, but I'm trying to find it here. I'll tell you what. Hold on, Keith. Just a second. I had this sent to me, and where can you purchase these? National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Reclamation, U.S. Forest Service, etc. So get a hold of them and find out where you can obtain a pass.
Well, good. And we hope all the seniors can afford to get one now because it's going to get expensive.
All right. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. All of a sudden, he faded off into oblivion. So thank you. I appreciate your call. All right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am going to ask you a question this morning that I would appreciate it if you would send me via phone call your answer, because this is getting a little sticky right now about our free speech. I want to talk to you about that in just a moment. Right now, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. They've got all your heating, all your cooling, and electrical needs, and they are the professionals, the best, for over a half a century. Wow, over a half a century serving you. Opening the doors at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric, you stop in and see them today. Want to also mention this is the big week, yes sirree, Bobby, for Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant. We're going to be over there on Thursday, this Thursday at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh boy, America's Diner. And our thanks go out for our gift certificates. We're going to have drawings for Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin with his redneck toilet, I gave it away, redneck cup holders. Thank you very much. And all of this is going to be having fun at Denny's Restaurant. Whether you want breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you can stop in anytime, all the time, for the best of food and great service. 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls and 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. Really, really good. All right, here's the question, and, I'm not going to walk on eggshells for anybody. What now can you say? Think about that. What can you say, or what can you give your opinion on and not be called a bigot, a hate monger, or a racist? Now, just think about it for a minute and then give me a call. If you believe, like I do, in God's Word and the Bible, a not changing Word, and established, I believe, by holy men of God that spoke when they received the words from the Holy Spirit. I really believe this. And if you believe in God's Word over anything that man conjures up, right or wrong, indifferent or whatever, bam, you're a target for the left. They'll come after you. I am not going to change my opinions or my stance on various issues. Not going to do it. And those out there in the audience that want to call me a hate monger, or want to call me a bigot, or those pond scums that want to call the word racist, I'm just going to be up front. I will never, ever support, never on this program, same-sex marriage or the homosexual agenda. Not going to happen on this program. I will never, ever support the Muslim ideology. It's against the Bible and our constitutional values. I demand a border system to keep illegals out of this country. There is a legal entry process. Use it. I will never, ever bend, and I had a comment last week after the show, I will never, ever bend to let illegal aliens vote in this country. I don't care if it's for dog catcher. I denounce and I slam Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the neo-Nazis, etc. All of them on the right or the left. And I do not support the acceptance of refugees en masse into this country. Our culture means a lot to me and my family. And our communities mean a lot to our families. Now, should we change? Should we alter? Should we become all things in a fragmented side of our culture? I don't believe so. And there have been many letters written. I refer to one that was in the Times News not too long ago by a lady by the name of Kristen Keck of Jerome, is that in America, all the refugees can get free food, free housing, free medical services, and at the same time try to change our culture into what they are trying to escape. There is a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. And I do not need, nor do I want, the likes of Jim Jones, Times News, or anybody else telling me that I need to throw away my past values that were given to me by my grandparents and my mom and dad, and past values of this country to accept their ideology. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I absolutely condemn the hate groups, the neo-Nazis, and on the other side, Antifa, and any groups that promote nothing more than a gathering together for nothing but maliciousness, violence, and hatred. Condemn them. But on the other side, when you pick up newspaper stories, and I've got examples right here in my hand of at least 3 op-eds that condemn the alt-right, but there is no condemnation of the alt-left, whether it be the BLM, Black Lives Matter, or Antifa, or whatever it might be. All of these groups, both sides of the issue, need condemnation, not just one. Not just one. What are your thoughts? It's time that we spoke out on this, folks, because our country is in huge turmoil right now, and I honestly am very afraid of what's going to happen. Caller, I'll be right there. Thank you for your call. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and the number to call for an appointment, 678-1191. They absolutely can help you get back to being you. They've got the greatest physical therapists there. They know all the exercises. They've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in the area. They are good. And like I said, can help you get back to being yourself. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Hey, I've got a couple of things to say. I'm 150% on what you just said. And we have a problem here with, I'm really upset over this statue, these monuments and stuff like that. The thing of it is if you're going to start taking statues down, start taking statues down of people that don't need to be.
Like who?
Okay. For instance, I'm a man that feels that Muhammad Ali is Cassius Clay. Now, who's Cassius Clay? A draft dodger. Okay.
Okay.
The thing is, if you're going to take the statues down of Lee and Washington and all that stuff, then get rid of Martin Luther King, too, that crybaby. That's all I got to say.
No, wait a minute. I think your point is well taken. Now, there are those in the audience that won't like what you said, but I agree with you. Cassius Clay was a draft dodger. Cassius Clay was a man that broke the law, didn't want to adhere to the rules and regulations, and now today is hailed as an American hero, of which I don't agree with. And I absolutely agree that when we start picking and choosing, oh, this statue's got to go. Oh, boy, we got to get rid of that monument over there. We are in a heap of trouble in this country because what happened in the past, and supposedly now looking back with 20/20 hindsight, we are trying to take away and cleanse history. That is wrong.
He hung up, sir.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Wheels. I appreciate it. You know, I absolutely, Dan and I were talking about this the other day. And I don't understand how. Now, somebody explain this to me. I'll admit I'm just a big, dumb old cowboy, but explain this to me. In this nation's history, or for that matter, any country in the world, looking back 250, 500, 1,000 years ago, whatever the case might be, how can you go back and denounce what was perhaps an accepted practice of the culture at those times and just absolutely denounce them and ridicule them and despise them? That was a part of their history and culture at that time, i.e., fast forward to the United States. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, I don't care who. And just absolutely demean these people for what was at that time accepted practices. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. When you're talking about free speech, I guess one of the things that still sticks in my craw was when we had all of the people move in on the old Ada County courthouse, and then they couldn't move them out because that's a form of free speech.
Yeah.
And yet, all of these other things, that's not free speech if you're on one side or the other. I agree with you on that. I still can't see people camped on the courthouse lawn being free speech.
Let me ask you a question, because I absolutely value your service to the state of Idaho. But when you start telling people that they have to go against the Bible's teachings and their beliefs and the way that they were brought up, and they have to basically fall into lockstep with an ideology that they don't accept, or they will be called bigots and hate mongers, what kind of a society are we going to?
Zeb, I worry about where this society is going to. As I've watched this for the last month, and I agree with you. Where are we going to? And the thing that bothers me as much as anything, Zeb, is the fact that a lot of these things, not what the people wanted, but what the people in the black robes, our judges, said, well, you've got to do it. They're entitled to do it. They're entitled to all of the things. They can do that.
Yeah.
They can have whatever they're entitled to. But they can't change marriage.
Well, we can't change a moral compass for society. That's my main thing right there, because I was raised a certain way. I know you were raised a certain way with moral values, right and wrong, and what's not acceptable. And in today's age of having certain of these people sit there and say, oh, well, people are transitioning their thoughts. Wait a minute, stop. God's Word and the Bible, to me, are not transitioning. Those words are set in stone, literally, with the Ten Commandments. And I'm not going to let some human frailty tell me that I have to follow their ideology because that's the way man is today. I'm not going to do it.
Well, nor should we be asked to do that. I guess I get really uptight about these things because why are we here upon the earth? What does the Bible tell us to do? Multiply and replenish the earth. Now, how are you going to do that? The way I guess I better be quiet.
No, I tell you what, I respect you for speaking out, anybody for speaking out on this, because I'm sick and tired of being chastised en masse by certain individuals that elevate their opinion in the newspaper and other sources that we have to follow a certain ideology or we're practicing hate speech. And this just makes me furious because they, in their opinion, they have a right to voice it, but so do I.
Well, Zeb, the other thing that I don't think you or I have any desire to go out and beat up anybody on the street because of their beliefs.
Absolutely not.
But by the same token, don't be critical of me because of what I believe.
You know, that's the whole thing. And, Bert, when I look at this situation today with the tearing down of symbolism and statues and, oh, no, you can't see that, oh, no, you can't read that, if that doesn't bring back thoughts of Nazi Germany, what does?
Well, Zeb, I hope we're not there, but it sure has some of the same color.
Thank you so much for your call, my dear friend. God bless. Thank you.
Have a really good day. Give your wife a hug because she really looks after you.
She does that, believe me. God bless her. Thank you very much. You know, I mean, there's somebody that I absolutely respect for his service to this great state of Idaho. And I absolutely am not going to be cowed into accepting an ideology or a modern-day thought at the risk of saying or having someone say to me, oh, you're a bigot, oh, you're a hate monger. Then so be it, because I have every right to voice my opinions and keep what I would call my traditional values. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence. Stay there for just a minute. I'll get you right on the air, I promise. I want to say to everybody, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. Wonderful, wonderful people that make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved ones. They're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they invite you to visit. Please give them a call, 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. Small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb. You know, I don't like the fact that maybe there was slaveholders in history, but there always has been, and probably are far, far, far more today than there ever was in our past. Look at what these people are doing to our illegal aliens that are coming in here and working in the dairies for nothing. They're basically slaves to the society. And, as far as tearing monuments down, I'm opposed to that because they're part of our history, and we need to keep our history. But there are some things out there that I think are horrible. They totally destroy our landscape, and they're not profitable. They're a leech on the people of the country. One of them is the windmills.
Yes.
Them things, I want to puke every time I see one. They upset me so bad. It's just horrible. I almost have to shut my eyes to go by them. They're just a disgrace to this country. They ruin our beautiful landscape. They ruin the countryside. They are unprofitable. They will never, ever show 1 cent of profit. They're absolutely ridiculous to be there. I'd like to see every one of them gone. But, if for some reason our society has decided they want to be robbed or ripped off and, cheated. And I don't understand it. It upsets me. But, a monument costs us nothing. It's there. It shows a piece of what happened in the past. And, what's good in the past is good. And what's bad in the past is good. We need to see it. Sometimes bad things keep us from doing them things again.
There you go. Okay, I got to interrupt you, Jerry, for just a second. I totally agree with everything you just said. But to condemn and to absolutely denigrate what happened in the past with 20/20 hindsight, which is perfect vision, is ludicrous. Because what happened 250 years ago, up to and even including the Civil War with the slave ownership, etc., I condemn it also. But I go back and I look anybody in the eye and say, it was an accepted practice at that time. Was it right? No, it wasn't right, having some human being as a slave to another human being. But we can't look back and condemn all people because of the fact that it was an accepted practice at that time. And I'm sick and tired of these lily white people today saying, oh, we got to hide it all. We got to trash all these monuments. We got to get rid of all this. That is asinine and repugnant to me.
And if we do that, someday we'll never have a country because we won't see the bad and we won't stay away from it.
There you go.
I'll get out of the way. You have a wonderful day. And all your young people out there listening, I wish them the best, and may the Lord bless them all.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have got to give away a dozen cookies right now to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. What a restaurant. What a great bakery. Oh, my. Cookies, pies, great desserts, everything at Sophie's Chatterbox. Here's the question. It's an easy one today. You should know this and be able to call. First-time winners only. Name the Indian actor that played Tonto on The Lone Ranger. Name the Indian actor that played Tonto on The Lone Ranger. First person to call with the right answer, first-time winner, and you'll get the cookies. A dozen delicious cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Call me real quick, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call quickly. Name of the Indian actor that played Tonto on The Lone Ranger. And you'll get a dozen cookies. Quickly, give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you that... Oh, boy, that was quick. We got a winner, I hope. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. I think it's Jay Silverhill.
And what is your name?
Marie Larson.
Marie Larson?
Mm-hmm.
Well, God bless you, and if you get sugar cookies, call me up and I'll take half, and we'll sit and eat them together.
Okay.
Hey, Marie, call them over at Sophie's and tell them when you're going to come over to pick up your cookies, and they'll have them ready for you, okay?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Marie Larson, Jay Silverheels. He starred or was a supporting actor in a lot of different Western movies back in that era. And along with being the sidekick to the Lone Ranger, Jay Silverheels, quite an actor. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Like to hear from you. You know, this trashing of the statues representing American history, what's next? I heard some of these buffoons with the IQ of a wheelbarrow full of rocks over the weekend saying, well, Mount Rushmore's got to go. We've got to get rid of Mount Rushmore. And then I heard some more buffoons say, well, we've got to change all the names of the schools that have George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or Benjamin Franklin. We've got to get rid of it. Or our currency. We've got to change the faces of these terrible people on our currency. Wait, whoa. How far is too far? And I believe we've already reached that particular area. This is insanity. And these are hate groups that are toppling our society, our monuments, and trying to change everything and cleanse it. It's got to stop. They are acting just like ISIS did over in the Middle East. Exactly like ISIS. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I think the big problem we have on free speech is there's a connection between Sharia law and the number of Muslim attorneys we have entering our legal system, and this is going to get worse and worse.
Oh, my.
To use as much of our own laws against us as they possibly can to break us down.
You're not saying anything that's hateful. You're not saying anything in the form of hate speech against Islam or the Muslim ideology. You're stating a fact. And the encroachment of wanting to have Sharia law be a major part of the judicial system in this country has been approached by many areas. And so you're just telling the truth. And I absolutely say what you're saying is right up front and honest.
So how can we deny legal education to people that are coming into this country to subvert us through our own legal system?
Well, you know, this is the idiocy of what we're allowing to happen, Tony. I heard a segment the other night on the television about maybe a week ago about how lawyers, graduate school lawyers that are illegal aliens, and this just boggles my mind. They're here in this country, and they are going to stand up and take the oath to honor our Constitution when they're liars and criminals to begin with because they're here illegally.
You know, where do we put a stop to this? How do we put a stop to this stuff? You know, the bunch of clowns we got up there in Washington, we finally got somebody in there that's got courage and cojones, if you want to call it, and he's being attacked 24 hours a day for trying to get this country back on track again.
Well, you know, I don't know how you stop it.
The House is going to have to be flooded with phone calls from irate citizens to put a stop to some of this stuff.
Yeah. You ask a good question, how do we stop it, what do we do? I can't give you an answer because I don't know, because like you said, there's no backbone, there's no spine anymore in government, and I don't know what to do. I know that I've changed and transitioned my thought. I think we ought to have term limits and not have to throw the bums out. They're going to have to exit stage one anyway.
Well, that's the problem we have now. They made a lifetime career out of this thing, and they become untouchable.
Yeah.
Because they're making the laws.
Well, I just think that where we're at today, and you're a little bit older than I am, and certainly in many cases much wiser, but where we are at today, Tony, I am very afraid when you have mobs going and tearing down statues, and you have mobs saying, well, you can't say that because we're going to sue you, and you have mobs that are absolutely trying to transition our Constitution. We have a problem right here that I'm afraid of.
Well, we have to tear down the statues of Martin Luther King or anybody like that. And how are you going to stop that?
Yeah, you know, you bring up a good point. Everybody's always afraid to bring up the point against, like, a Martin Luther King Jr. or whatever. I'm not afraid of it. I'll just come out and state my fact. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great man with some of his philosophy, and he had a dream for his race in particular, etc. That's fine. I respect that. But, you know, if we're going to start talking about denigrating and tearing down monuments of belief and heritage, then we've got to be of equal value and tear them all down.
Well, Martin Luther King was under investigation by the FBI with some kind of connections from the Communist Party. Doesn't that count for something?
Well, we've got to be open and honest about the past and the way things were and the way things people were done by certain people in leadership. And I am absolutely convinced that all of a sudden overnight, this cleansing attitude in this country is being funded by the George Soroses and others on the alt-left. And, Tony, we better nip it in the bud now or this country is toast.
Well, we need peaceful demonstrations at some of our fairgrounds and things that we have where people can get up and make a whole lot of noise and let the rest of the world know that we are sick and disgusted of what's going on.
I agree. Tony, God bless you and Mary, and we need to get together for another breaking of the bread at breakfast, buddy, so give us a call.
Yes, we are, and that'll be soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, good. Bye.
Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I dare, and I'm going to underline that word dare this morning, anybody in the audience, and I don't care who they are or what they represent, to pick apart anything that I've said this morning on this program and construe it as hate speech, bigotry, or being a hate monger. I'm being very forthright and open and honest. There are stupid people and ridiculous groups on both sides of any issue, especially this one. And the hate being spread, whether it's the neo-Nazis on the right and the white supremacists, or on the left, the BLM, Black Lives Matter, or Antifa. There's just way too many hate groups in this country. But here's the caveat. The liberal left in this country wants to start throwing Christians and their beliefs under the bus as hate groups. True story. The Alliance Defending Freedom, a group that I had on my program for years and years and years, along with the Family Research Council, now by the Southern Poverty Law Center, a despicable group of haters on the left, have pointed their finger at the Alliance Defending Freedom and the Family Research Council as hate groups and are demanding that they be disbanded. Unbelievable. I listened to Mr. Perkins with the Family Research Council on television this past weekend. And they are absolutely appalled how they could be called a hate group. And it's being furthered, like I said, by CNN. And I think as a Christian, we need to stand up and stand tall. And right now, no turning of the other cheek. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Hello, Juan. Hello, Eli. Hello, folks. How you doing? Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 3 locations serving you, and that's, of course, on South Lincoln and Jerome, and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They've got all the equipment to get the job done right, including all the Bobcat excavators. They've got them in all shapes and sizes, new and used, equipment rentals, retail equipment sales. My goodness sakes. And if you don't know how to run the equipment, just stop in. They got a big sandbox out behind the Burley location. They'll teach you how. All of this and more at Barry Equipment and Rental. Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Calls are welcome. Excuse me for the sore throat. In the fall of the year, the hay fever, the bean dust, the grain dust, and everything seems to take up residence in my throat, so I apologize for that. It's time for the weather, and then we'll take some more of your calls. Don't weaken on me, folks. Give me a call. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup, and they are the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho, and she can help you with your hearing problems. I mean, if you've noticed a diminishment in your hearing, call for a hearing screening appointment today, 312-0957. And right now, here's the weather.
Well, we're going to have pretty decent sunshine for the eclipse. Good morning, Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. Today expecting sunshine and a high around 88, except for around 11:30. Going to have some obstruction. Clear tonight with a low of 54. Sunshine tomorrow, a high of 92. Partly cloudy for Tuesday night, expecting a low of 59. Then maybe a chance of some showers moving in on Wednesday, around 20% chance of that happening, and a high of 86. That's your Zeb of the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Excellent job. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. As I said, if you've got a hearing problem, you need to call for an appointment today. Don't put it off. 312-0957. Located across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. This week is Lunch Bunch on Thursday at Denny's Restaurant, and that's 611 North Overland and Burley, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin. Thank you for all the gift certificates and the giveaways. Going to be a lot of fun. 11:30 at Denny's on Thursday. All right, you give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you that over 62% in one survey, and there's other surveys that even show higher numbers, but I'm trying to be fair and balanced on this. Over 62% of Americans want all the statues to stay where they are. Well, the majority loses again. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And then we have this. This story is so despicable that I'm going to get into it in just a minute if I have time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb. I think that probably we forgot to listen to the admission, or whatever it is, admission, about 30 years ago when we started to change history books so much. And then, of course, we allowed people out in the streets to, be angry. And because America believes in the right to speak up and say whatever you want. And when we were doing that, we were not making clear the reason why the laws of the United States and the standards of the United States will keep us strong. And I'm afraid that this has gone on for, well, I think I'm a little older than you. And when you and I were teenagers, we saw this. And my dad would say every other time he watched the news or heard the news, he said, if we don't know our history, we are going to repeat it.
Amen.
And my dad was a historian, and I love history. But what about our people who are teaching our children now? Where were they when that was happening?
Yeah. The whitewashing, cleansing, or modification of our history in the history books in the schools, to me, is absolutely, it's a crime. It's an absolute crime. I don't care if they're talking about the Battle of the Alamo for Texas independence. I don't care if they're talking about World War II with the Hitler regime. I don't care what they're talking about, even as late as now, the Black Lives Matter or the bigotry that's going on with the neo-Nazis, whatever. We can't change, nor do we have the right to rewrite history and cleanse it. People need to know the truth, and when you shelter the truth in any society, you have a lockstep generation that's going to follow that leadership anywhere, including over a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the sad thing is Black lives matter, but we need to go a little further. Brown lives matter. White lives matter. The Asian people matter. It's a world. If we are not a united world, and if we are not caring about every soul on this planet, then we've got serious problems. And when are the leadership of our country going to take up their bravery bone and put it back in their backbone and stand up. Because unless we have leadership in this country and in our state, we're sunk.
I have never been more ashamed of leadership in general in this country than I am right now. And I mean that on both sides of the aisle. I'm not talking just about Mitch McConnell. I'm certainly not talking just about Nancy Pelosi. I'm talking about in general, they are cowards and they absolutely will bend anywhere the wind blows.
Well, and the problem is those guys are so entrenched, they're going to have to die to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And what do we know about the younger generation that's coming up? Have they been rightly taught? This is so sad because I haven't seen a high school or a school text for years and years. I do know that my own boys had pretty good training in our United States history, but most of them have been out of school for 20 years.
Yeah. No, Chris, I'm very concerned. It's not theatrics. I'm very, very worried about what's going on in this country. I'm worried about how we have to accept an ideology to be in lockstep with everybody else's thinking, or we're called bigots and hate mongers. I'm very concerned about the eradication of our history. I'm very concerned about what's going on in politics with no spine, no backbone to stand up for anything. I'm worried, my dear, and I don't see anything changing.
Well, I just want to send out something to all of the young people, if there are any listening to this. Listen, look, and read your history. Listen to your parents and your grandparents. See what they've gone through. We cannot afford to repeat the history of the past. And we've got to make a beautiful future for our young kids. If we don't think of anything else.
I agree.
Future.
I agree, Chris. You're always welcome on this program. Thank you for your insight. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice lady right there. Hey, by the by, get where you're going this summer. And then turn around and come safely back home. That's right, with all the tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best of pickup and SUV tires. And, of course, don't forget they've got the backcountry all-terrain tire, all-season tread, advanced noise reduction. Oh, that's quite a tire. And the best in brake service. The best in brake service by highly trained brake technicians. And front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. But above all, service. That 7-letter word, people throw it out, but I'll tell you what, they live by it at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got a minute left. Go ahead, please.
If we take away our past, we are lying about it. Excuse me, if we take away our past, we will not have any roots, whether we don't like some of those roots. If we take away our past, we will not know where we have been, and we will not see where we are going. And we are, and this is not original with me, we are conforming our faith to our lives, and, doing what we want, not conforming our lives to our faith.
Amen.
And doing what God wants.
Amen. I know who you are, and I've always respected what you say. God bless you, and thank you for calling in this morning.
Thank you. God bless you, too, and
thank you
for what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That is a wonderful, wonderful lady right there. Let's see, what else have I got cooking here real quick. I was going to get into another story, but I don't have time. But I do want to give a real shout-out to some guys that I know pretty doggone well. Number one, my son-in-law, Nick Cummins, and his brother, Logan Cummins. They went to the World Series team roping this past weekend and won the number 11, and they are now bound for the World Series finals in Las Vegas in December. Congratulations, Nick and Logan Cummins. We are extremely proud of you. We're going to take a little break right now and send it back over to Wheels and the main studio. And then when we come back, we've got Michael Doherty on the air, and then followed by Tony Francois with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Two great guests coming up this next hour on Zeb at the Ranch. Have a great day. Remember, it's the Great American Eclipse Day coming up at about 11:32 this morning. Oh, you don't want to miss that. Wheels, take it away, old buddy. I just stopped my wife in her tracks going down the hallway. I said to her, oh, by the way, Deanne, we got to get a halter on old Stinger, my rope horse, and bring him in the house before 11:30 in the eclipse, because horses and cattle will get scared because of the darkness at a not common time for the sun to go dark. And she looked at me like I'd lost my mind. I probably have. Anyway, good morning. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm kidding. With our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, my goodness sakes, Western Waste Services, the dumpsters, the porta potties, the Go Mini storage units, the route service to pick up your garbage once a week. It's gone, it's out of there. My goodness, what are you waiting for? Call the people that are loyal to the community and the people served, and that's, of course, our dear friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Give them a call right now at 734-6969. Wonderful people. We're going to have our guest on the air momentarily for this segment. Can't wait to visit with him. I think he's back in Kentucky with a pair of glasses on to view the eclipse. We'll have him on the air in just a minute. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. That's right. They're a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them all. And whether it's your dogs, kitty cats, horses, whatever, you get a hold of them today, 678-1177. That number again, 678-1177. Dr. Bill and the whole crew at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn. Yep, warm hearts, cold noses, Ark Animal Hospital. Let's go to the phone line right now and say good morning to a gentleman that is the CEO and president of LabMD. Michael Doherty, how are you, sir?
Well, you were close, sir. I'm in Tennessee. I'm in Madisonville, Tennessee, at the airport here. Flew in over the incredible traffic jam, and everyone's all psyched up and having their lunch hot dog roast because it's 11 a.m. here. We're getting ready to snuggle in about 3 hours and enjoy ourselves a 3-minute event.
You know, let me ask you, Michael, we, of course, are in one of the main paths of the eclipse out here in Idaho. Actually, a little bit north of us up by Idaho Falls, it's going to be, I think, almost a total eclipse up there. But am I wrong, or am I old, or am I antiquated in my thinking? I just can't get too jacked up over this thing, but it looks like a lot of people, millions of people, are pretty excited about it.
Well, it's the totality part, and that it really hadn't happened since 79. In 79, we didn't have the social media to sort of have that group big event. So I'd say this is a sort of power of social media and how long it's been. I mean, they had Walter Cronkite 1979 thing on last night on TV, and it was funny. You know, I was 19 years old in 1979. And when he said it won't be happening again until 2017, and that's you're thinking 2017, whoa, that'll never happen. And here we are.
Well,
So I guess it's just good fun as long as you don't cram the traffic too much. I was actually in Bend, Oregon for the weekend. I got back out east last night, and there was a 3-hour traffic jam on Friday coming through the pass from Portland down to north of Redmond. It's been crazy. I mean, it's like a Woodstock rock concert out there. The valley's just packed with campers and partiers, so I guess it's any reason to have a good time.
I can solidify what you just said because my son is a fireman for the Boise Fire Department, and they had reports that out of Prineville, Oregon, traffic was backed up 15.5 miles. So evidently there's a lot of people going to view the eclipse.
Yeah. And yet, in Bend over the weekend, they scared everyone so effectively, it was a ghost town. People went to work early, because I was at the hospital there, and people went to work early and got there early, and there was no one on the roads, and they raised their gas prices to $3 a gallon, and no one was buying gas. That's what you get. But, it's interesting. But, the real issue is going to be when everyone leaves all at once, because coming in is one thing, but leaving all at once is quite another.
Holy moly, a great exodus. Listen, the reason I wanted you on the program this morning, you had a great piece about the business leaders pulling out of the White House group and how globalist corporations might be becoming the new morality police. Boy, did you pique my interest with that. Give us a little explanation.
Well, look. Why? If I could ask Donald Trump a question, I would go, what did you expect? Here you are, a billionaire entrepreneur. That is not someone therefore that must be political, that you run your whole show. What you say goes in your world. And you build a team of people that are all corporate guys. Now, how do you get to be the top of a corporation if you didn't buy it all the way up? I mean, it's not by those skills. And so the second, you open your mouth with these extreme political winds flying around, loyalty is a gentle charade with these people. And they're going to take off in 2 seconds. So I'm not surprised. And yet they're the morality police only where they're going to take their hands off the hot potato. I mean, it's such selective perception. I mean, usually they keep their mouth shut. They choose what they want to be moral about. I don't hear them screaming how rude it was for Antifa to throw balloons full of feces and urine. So the silence is deafening. The morality is selective. And the loyalty, forget loyalty.
Yeah. And Michael, you and I think, are on the same page on this, but I am absolutely fed up with a policing and a Gestapo-like attitude by those that call themselves basically the elitists in our society that are saying, oh, you can't say that, oh, you can't do that, oh, no, we've got to eliminate that, or we've got to cleanse that. Are we really going to revert back to, and I'm going to use the terminology, Nazi Germany, where they purge everything, books, etc., because they want to erase history? This is what I'm afraid of.
Well, I don't think that the American public is that dumb, but I think because they did rise up in the last election. And quite frankly, we didn't have a lot of choices of people that would shake things up in D.C. So people did go for Trump. I don't think it was a big "we love Donald Trump" vote. I think it was a no way in heck are we going to have Hillary Clinton in their vote. And but people understand what's going on. I think people still understand what's going on. I think the press exposes itself even more because, look, the morality of the press and these corporations is a joke. What they do that's immoral while they smile and stay silent is way worse. And so, that's always the game. That's always the game of regimes, of socialist regimes especially. Look at Venezuela. We'll take care of you. We'll give you food. We'll give you what. They'll say absolutely anything. And what happens in the history of what really happens? Carnage and death. Who loses? The poor lose the worst. Obamacare. Who loses the worst? The sick people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that, the question is how big is the pandemic of stupid Americans going to get? That's the real question, because I think many people see through this.
Yeah, but Michael, going into the corporations and the morality police, and basically if you don't follow lockstep into their mindset and their ideology, you could be on the outside looking for a job and unemployed. I mean, this is kind of a scary scenario, what's going on.
Well, it's true, and it's not, but here's the irony. The label about morality, the truth is it's all about litigation. Okay, so it's all about litigation, company survival, keeping out of trouble. You could call it, it's the survival police. It's the politics police. They don't, look, these big corporations, I'm not talking about small business, that's different, because that just doesn't have the money for all this stuff, and then they have a hard time staying in business, and the big companies come in and crush them. But the rest of them, it's just survival and stay out of litigation, stay out of the press. And so it's just lipstick on a pig and whistle past the graveyard. So I don't believe what anyone says. And they say it all the time. But when they take action, it's the Human Resources Department and the Legal Department trying to keep the company protected.
You don't think that we're on the verge of a very precarious precipice right now? We're one step backwards, and we're going to go into a social abyss to where you and I and everyone on the radio, television, the news media with the newspapers, etc., no matter what we say, there's going to be a certain thought or word police out there that are going to come and arrest us or denigrate us. You don't think we're that far?
I know, because we've got free social media and the internet, and I think what we're seeing is one huge temper tantrum because the earlier temper tantrums didn't work. And this is where Trump has to be careful and quit feeding the beast, because these people only feed off the attention. So when he goes crazy, I mean, they're nuts. They're nuts. When the dust settles down, I still think, the core Americans get it. I mean, don't forget, the core Americans are being insulted the same way. It's the same thing. These are all the people that lost the White House. These are all the people that vote hardcore left blue. That's not all liberal. That's not all Democrat. And they're screaming in a temper tantrum. I mean, it's really a very fevered pitch right now, but I don't take loudness as numbers.
Okay. We have a caller with a question for you, Michael. Go ahead, caller. Please, you're on the air.
First, I want to say how much I enjoyed your description of pandemics of stupidity. And I don't think there's any limit to it. I think it's like greed in America. I think there's no limit. Do you feel like I do, that it seems to be a reversal of slavery? They are trying to enslave us by their actions that they're doing currently?
I don't know. I mean, it is a descriptive term, not as a literal. I mean, what they disempower. I mean, what happens is it's just the power is in the silencing. But what you do is you divide and conquer through intimidation and name calling. And so what happens is most people then just keep their mouth shut, whistle past the graveyard. They clearly only express themselves in the voting booth when no one's looking. The crowd that wants to do the sound thing and the thought control want to know who you donate your money to nonprofits, want to know how you vote, want people to not be able to have to show identification to vote. So I think it's more subtle. I wouldn't say slavery physical, but it's certainly a nullification of our individual ability based on if we disagree with them. And the point is, I can disagree with you all day long, and you can disagree with me. I'm not arguing to have your rights taken away because of it, and I'm not vilifying you as a person, and that's the line they're crossing.
Absolutely.
I mean, when these guys are throwing feces and urine-filled balloons over at the police, I'm not a racist because I don't like them, and I'm not actually supporting white supremacists because I think the guys hurling those balloons are bad. They're both bad. You can have bad for different reasons, and both sides are bad for different reasons. And you just say that, and these people lose their minds. And that's the kind of stuff, a lot of people at that point just go, you know what, I'm just going to walk away. And it's kind of dangerous. I mean, you don't want to have a massive fight, but you can't ignore these people if the press is going to just ignore what they do as bad and put them up as okay. That's not okay.
Thank you for your call, caller. Very good question. Thank you very much. Michael, when I look at the cosmetics, if you will, of America today, and the left being taken over by, I should say, the left taking over corporations, taking over the school of thought within our universities, colleges, and our high schools, I'm a little bit concerned that maybe my old standards of morality and right and wrong and what I was brought up in, they might be short-lived in the future. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, but it didn't take 2 seconds for this to happen, and we haven't been looking. This has not happened in the Obama administration. It's happened over the last century, and this really started in the early 20th century when the government started building agencies that didn't have the separation of powers, and everyone's been asleep at the wheel, so that now we're at such a tipping point. But the truth is, we haven't had an honest civics book educating our children in a century, and it's really fallen off in the last 25 years, and that's where the root is. So if you don't understand what's going on, you're just confused. That's good. They like to keep everyone ignorant and confused, and so you don't understand. And so they don't understand the difference between free speech and offensive speech. And we are free to be idiots here.
Absolutely.
We're not free to be criminals, but we are free to make fools of ourselves and be wrong. And we're free to be offensive and ignorant. We're not free to hurt other people with physical violence. We're not free to hurl balloons of urine and feces. But the scary thing is the youth is not being educated, and that lack of education is intentional. And that's the dangerous part. Intentionally not educating people is a scary thing.
Absolutely.
It's a real problem.
We have another caller with a question. Go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Well, like you're just saying, the ends justify the means, and the conspiracy is a vast left-wing mass. I mean, these people, whether or not they know it or not, they're all working in cooperation with each other for the destruction of America, and they act like they don't even really realize what they will get when they do get the destruction of what they want. They will be suffering along with all of their relatives and family. And so this is the thing. The people weren't fooled by the media before the election. How can it be that they are being fooled by these... I'm so furious. I want to call them names that I would be thrown off the air. They're not fooling them now. I can't believe that Trump's followers aren't growing somewhat because they see what a terrible deal he's being dealt. I'll hang up.
Michael, respond, please.
I don't know that they're not wrong. I will say that I don't think those people do know exactly what they're fighting for. I mean, what happens when you get groupthink, you get young people that don't have life experience, you get young people that don't have education, you get young people then that are looking for something, then they join the group and they get frothed up in the emotion, and those crazy kid idiots that were stomping on that statue with a piece of metal. I mean, people are, that's a mental problem, and most people understand it. And the press's credibility just goes to the toilet when they only report half the story. I think, one of the reasons the polls were off in the election was because, look, we're onto it. But when we get polled, we're not even going to answer. We're going to keep our mouth shut, and the power's in the voting booth. And as long as the American public marches to that voting booth and pulls the lever, we got to remember that pulling of the lever in 2016 was not the whole battle. It was just one inning, if that. And the temper tantrum since is telling, so we have to keep on doing it. And just plug your ears. Because they're going to, when they start hurling this stuff, they got nothing. And it's real important that we don't let them drown us out. And that doesn't mean we're okay with the white supremacist people. That's their label they want to use. We're not, you are perfectly okay thinking both sides are offensive for different reasons and not letting them steal the narrative. But look, it's just like when Hillary called everyone deplorable. Yeah, keep it up. You're right. You're going to unify and broaden the base.
One last question here, Michael, before I run out of time, and I want to talk to you about President Trump himself. Now, correct me if you think it's necessary, but I listened to what he said and the verbiage that he used right after Charlottesville. Then I listened very carefully and took notes what he said 48 hours after Charlottesville. And I cannot find the bone of contention that the left is throwing up, saying he didn't say enough or he didn't say this, etc. He said something that I absolutely adhere to, that there were bad people on both sides, but the left and their tilted media, they will have nothing of that.
Well, that's because that's their whole narrative, and you're right. And see, this is a dangerous game that effectively scares a lot of people away. Because who wants to stand up all day long and have to answer questions of how long you've been beating your wife? Because answering the questions implies you're agreeing that you do beat your wife. So they're playing this manipulative game. Most people are onto it. It does scare a lot of people off. It does make the media go silent. They are desperate. Desperate people go to desperate methods. This is not just the left. This is the entire establishment when it comes to Trump. I mean, they're terrified of him because people are waking up. They understand what goes on. And, we used to have an incredible amount of trust in our elected leaders. In the last 8 years, that has been torched. And you have a lot of young people that just don't have enough life experience to get it yet. And you've got a media that takes 300 wackos, puts a magnifying glass on it, and tries to make everyone think that's everybody. And I'm not having it. And I'm not agreeing that that's okay, that the supremacy, that those are disgusting people, those are nut jobs. And I'm not going to say, therefore, that throwing balloons full of feces and urine at police in Oregon is okay or understandable. It's not. And that doesn't make me racist. That's what these idiots talk about. And that's what we have to remember. We know who we are, and we don't let them dictate the narrative. They're going to try, though, because the self-righteous scream loudest, and we're in the middle of one big temper tantrum from that side, and they keep screaming louder, louder, and louder.
Absolutely. Michael Dougherty, and he is back in Tennessee right now, and he's the president and CEO of LabMD, and he's there to watch the eclipse. I say to you, sir, please keep your glasses on, enjoy the day, and come back soon on this program. You're always welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone stay safe. It's great. Take care. Thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you. There's an interesting gentleman right there, and I enjoy adding him to our stable of friends to come on this program. Michael Dougherty, good job. Got to pay some bills. Where we got to go first? Well, let's talk a little bit about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. And they really, really care about you and your family. You know, it's a part of life that we're all going to pass away, and when there is the passing of a loved one, it can throw the whole family into a tumultuous time of not knowing what to do in the short time frame. Well, let them help, and they will. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. Joel Heward and his staff always treating you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today. Remember that number, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Oh, good folks. And also want to remind you, Deanne and I took the old four-wheelers out for a ride yesterday. Man, that was nice. We got out and enjoyed some fresh air. Let's ride. I thank Nick for getting us into the four-wheelers. Man, oh man, they are fun. Let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and the number to call, 436-4771. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, open Saturdays, 9 to 4. All the ATVs, all the side-by-sides, they've got them, everything. That showroom floor is chock full of fun. Get on over there, check out all the accessories, and don't forget they got a super service department to keep you running. Where are they at? 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Let's ride, where the fun is sold. Really good people. Also, real quick, before we get our next guest on the air, excuse me for the cough. Want to remind everybody about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You know, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Those are items that we all have a tendency to kind of put on the back burner. Don't do that. Be sure and give them a call and make sure that you, your family, and your business are all covered. Make sure. Call them today at 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, dedicated and responsive to your needs. Highway 24 in Rupert. Call them 436-4424. There was a case in California that I followed, along with some other idiotic cases in environmental news, about a Central Valley farmer who was being sued by the federal government for tens of millions of dollars for plowing his own wheat field. John Duarte was the man's name, and I followed this case, and thank goodness for the Pacific Legal Foundation and what they do. And when I say thank goodness, one of their great attorneys is on the air with us right now, Tony Francois with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Tony, how did this case ever happen from the get-go?
Well, it's an interesting situation. The farming that we're talking about took place on a piece of land near Red Bluff, California, which is in northern California, kind of in the upper Sacramento Valley. It's been farmed in the past alternately for wheat or used for grazing. And John Duarte's company, Duarte Nursery, bought it in 2012. And that winter, they planted a winter wheat crop on it. And in reliance, which I think is what a lot of farmers, reasonably do, on the plain exception or protection in the Clean Water Act, which says that normal farming practices don't require the Army Corps permits that are frequently required. They plowed it and had it planted to wheat. After the fact, a local Army Corps regulator who happened to drive by and observe the plowing as it was underway, informed them that, in his opinion, they actually had required a permit from him to plow the property, and that began a now almost 5-year-long enforcement battle with the Corps of Engineers that has included since 2014 a lawsuit brought by the Department of Justice against John personally, as well as his company, for plowing their property to plant wheat on it. So it's been a rather bizarre set of circumstances that would lead to, that old saw, making a federal case out of it. This case could have led to that.
Let me ask you about the situation itself, Tony, and how this progressed. I mean, what about his neighbors? And they all use and probably practice the same farming methods. Good heavens, the same as we do right up here in the Magic Valley in southern Idaho. But what about the situation? What did he do so wrong that would draw the ire of the Army Corps of Engineers?
Well, in the view of most reasonable observers, and certainly our view, nothing wrong. But the experience has shown that where a normal person, or say a lay person, reads the Clean Water Act and it says normal farming practices don't require a permit, what this case reveals is that the Army Corps regulatory staff does not read normal farming practices the same way that normal farmers do. And in their view, because this property under a prior owner had been in the Conservation Reserve Program for several years, therefore it hadn't been plowed in quite a while, plowing it was no longer a normal farming practice. So they limit their consideration of what's normal to what routinely happens on the property. And in their view, because it had been enrolled in the CRP and therefore, unplowed for several years, plowing it was no longer normal and required a permit from them.
Well, let me ask you this then, Tony. Was John Duarte and his family, were they owners of the land, this land in question, or were they lessors of the land? In other words, was it theirs on private property rights to do as they wish, or was it a leased operation?
No. This is, the family company, Duarte Nursery, owns the property. But this is most certainly their property. This is not something where they had leased it from somebody else. It does kind of leave you with the question, though. I mean, you own property, farmland that you're going to grow crops on, but there is this conflict, this underlying conflict with the Corps of Engineers and the EPA. If they consider any part of your property to be, as they broadly view it, navigable waters, you got a serious question who really owns it in practice. Because if you need their permission to do the simplest, most ordinary thing like plowing it and growing crops, do you own it or do they?
So what's the general feeling on what happened to the Duartes with his neighbors? Have they all of a sudden in retrospect said, whoa, hold the tractor there, Bill, we better not go out and do any plowing? I mean, what effect has it had on the region and or the neighbors?
Well, the owner of the neighboring property was sued by the Justice Department almost immediately after the court in the Duarte case ruled in favor of the government that a permit was needed, as well as the prior owner of this property that John's company bought it from. Also, they're suing the prior owner for having plowed it and grown a wheat crop on it. So we are also hearing some anecdotal reports through consultants, environmental consultants, that there are staff of the Corps of Engineers visiting people saying, hey, look, we think that you should have had a permit for the farming that you did, and we'll sort of overlook it this time for a settlement payment of some thousands of dollars, but don't do that again. And unfortunately, we've not been able to elicit direct statements from the people that we've heard have been subjected to this. I think they're scared. So generally what this has done is introduced this significant uncertainty into whether or not you need an Army Corps permit or not. The Corps of Engineers staff told us when we deposed them that there's really no way to know. You could read normal farming practices don't require a permit and think all day long that what you're doing is normal. But in their view, the only way for you as a farmer to know if they're not going to enforce against you for plowing your property is to come and consult with them in advance and get their view of it. That's a far cry and far more uncertain and time-consuming and costly than what we think is a very plain and clear protection in the statute from this permitting regime for farming. So it's it introduces a lot of uncertainty, we think. Now, we're optimistic. This case is settled on terms that prevent the government from imposing the tens of millions of liability that they were trying to on this company and John personally. But we're confident that as we litigate more cases and challenge this issue, that the courts will ultimately restore a clear understanding of the Clean Water Act, that farming is protected from permitting, and you can rely on what it says rather than having to go, bow and scrape to the local Corps of Engineers official for his or her opinion about whether your farming is normal.
Okay, but Tony, I've got to go back here to this part of it. John Duarte still had to come up and pay $330,000 in a civil penalty, and then also $770,000 with pool mitigation credits. So the man still had to come up with over $1 million for basically doing nothing wrong, and this irritates me. It makes me absolutely mad to think that a farmer doing a legal practice of farming has to still pay to prove himself and then pay the government over $1 million. This is not right.
Well, and it's certainly, it was a difficult decision for John to come to, because that's not an insignificant amount of money. The agreement does allow a period of time for John to put that together so that it can actually be paid. But compounding the fact that the Justice Department made a federal case out of plowing a field, for example, we continue to disagree that what the company did there violated the Clean Water Act. But even for the sake of argument, so we were going into a penalty trial that was going to start last week, where the government was looking for this $45 million in punishment. Even for the sake of argument, if this is a violation, it's at worst an innocent mistake, that the government then compounds this marginal, issue by throwing tens of millions of dollars of potential liability at the farmer. And the effect of that, frankly, is to buffalo people off of their positions. Is, we and John both feel strongly that nothing illegal was done, and yet you look at the potential harm that any significant part of $45 million would do to him, to his family, to his company, obviously to the hundreds of people that they employ. It's good that we were able to negotiate a settlement that allows the company to stay in business and move forward. But it is also alarming that if the law breaking here was plowing a field, that it takes more than $1 million to settle your way out of that. That's an eye-opener.
What really bothers me is for those in the audience that don't know or understand about this area or region, the San Joaquin Valley of California is the breadbasket to the world, with all the different diversified crops and great farming practices down there. This must have been a real alarm clock to everybody that's a farmer in the San Joaquin Valley. It could happen to them.
Absolutely. And in fact, in the government's briefs to the court on the amount of penalty, they specifically told the judge, look, we're asking for you to smoke this guy because we want everybody else who's farming in this area to take note and to come, clear what they're doing with the Army Corps, even if in good faith they think what they're doing is fine, and even if a fair reading of the law says you don't need to even bother with the Army Corps. So clearly they're trying to use this as a means of herding people towards the Army Corps' permitting process, even when they don't need it.
The Clean Water Act, and again, correct me if you feel I'm wrong in my statement and my verbiage here, Tony, but the Clean Water Act is so ambiguous and so ridiculous the way it was put together that literally, if constructed and followed by all their rules and regulations, if a puddle of water after about 2 or 3 days of rain had formed in my roping arena, and I went out with a harrow and tried to help dissipate that water in that puddle, quite frankly, I could have been sued by the Clean Water Act. And that's really the truth, is it not?
It is. And part of the difficulty with it is that the statute has a very ambiguous definition of, what, quote, waters it covers. That's compounded by the fact that the agencies, both the EPA and the Corps of Engineers, interpret navigable water lot of mostly dry land. And then at the edges of that, you have no idea whether something's even within what they consider, quote, jurisdictional or not. And so there is an enormous amount of uncertainty, and there are a lot of alarming incidences where, like the situation you described, you would have no reason in advance to think, I'm just maintaining my property here. But after the fact, the EPA or the Corps will show up and say, yeah, you just dredged and filled our navigable water. It's kind of Orwellian, but it is a significant problem. And even members of the Supreme Court have noted that, this is an untenable continuing situation where people really can have no idea whether they're even regulated by the Clean Water Act or not, and that needs to be addressed and fixed.
Many, many cases like this, the Pacific Legal Foundation has been involved in, but is this the tip of the iceberg? Are we going to be seeing more of these ridiculous lawsuits and threats to private property owners? What's your thought on that?
Well, I think that it certainly could, and my primary concern is that, if the government establishes this uncertainty about whether or not you need a permit from the Corps to farm, and so that goes from being clearly you don't to, well, maybe you do. Well, the Clean Water Act is enforceable with what are called citizen suits, where environmental organizations can actually sue people for violating the Clean Water Act and get court orders preventing that entity from operating until they get a permit. It is a business practice in many parts of the country against many types of businesses for environmental organizations to basically file nuisance lawsuits against them under the Clean Water Act and say, you need a permit to be doing this, you don't have one, but for, $15,000 donation to our group, we'll let it go. Or for a donation and you go get a permit, we'll let it go. And, I think that's a significant risk here, and that's why we think it's important for the courts to ultimately clarify this, that the plain words of the law, normal farming practices don't require a permit, is something that farmers and really all regulated parties can rely on without being, roasted by the government or shaken down by activists.
Once again, I'll just use the terminology, and it's my verbiage, not yours, that this is almost like mob blackmail, M-O-B, mafia-style blackmail, of using this against farmers that are trying to do nothing more than grow their crops, feed the world, and use their own private property. Thank goodness for the Pacific Legal Foundation and you, Tony Francois, for getting involved in this and helping the Duarte family. Any final thoughts as to where he goes from here?
Well, both Pacific Legal Foundation and John Duarte, we've had conversations about how to, what can come next, and we've not really, arrived at final decisions on that, but we're definitely intending to continue litigating this issue until it's clarified, and we're optimistic that it will be. I know John is personally dedicated to making sure, in whatever way he is able, that other farmers don't suffer what he did.
Yeah.
And so there's, I think, more to come on this.
Boy, I appreciate it, Tony. Tony Francois with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Thank goodness for you folks. And if people want to follow this with the Pacific Legal Foundation, how do they keep up on this story and others?
Our website is pacificlegal.org. You can also keep track of us on Twitter at Pacific Legal. Is a pretty good source of information as well.
All right, Tony.
We're on Facebook. We've got a great Facebook page as well.
Tony, come back soon. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, anytime, Sid. Pleasure talking to you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Can you imagine? Here's a farmer, John Duarte, and I know this family. And he's out plowing his field and ends up in a major court case and finally has to settle still by paying over $1 million for doing nothing wrong in America. Ay, 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 ay. We got to have the weather forecast here real quick, and the weather is brought to you by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. CPAs, the best of CPAs, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, and so much more. And they've got 2 offices to serve you in Burley and Rupert. They are the best. Get a hold of them today, and we'll talk more about them in just a moment, right after this word from Scotty and the weather.
Well, we're going to have pretty decent sunshine for the eclipse. Good morning, Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. Today expecting sunshine and a high around 88, except for around 11:30. Going to have some obstruction. Clear tonight with a low of 54. Sunshine tomorrow, a high of 92. Partly cloudy for Tuesday night, expecting a low of 59. Then maybe a chance of some showers moving in on Wednesday, around 20% chance of that happening, and a high of 86. That's your Zeb of the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Thank you, Scotty. Good job. Appreciate you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, CPAs. I'm telling you, they can really help you, your family, your business, and people starting a business or a partnership, whatever. And they can help business owners wanting to hire more employees to make sure they can find the best way to do things that are more economical for them. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. You get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, and they bring you the weather this hour. Got time for some calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Too many of those kind of stories, like John Duarte of California down in the Red Bluff area. Too many of those things have happened. I think about the Johnson family over at Fort Bridger, Wyoming. They dug out a stock pond, and it was cleared with the state of Wyoming. Everything was licensed, permitted, everything. And then all of a sudden, the do-gooders with the federal government came in, long story short, and they tried to sue him out of existence. And it would have been like, I think the fine would have been like $75,000 a day until he took that pond apart. Well, he won. He fought these absolute vermin, and he won. And such is the case also with John Duarte. Even though he finally got sick of the rat race and the rats were winning, rats being the government, and he still had to pay over $1 million for doing nothing wrong but plowing his field. This is idiocy. Oh, man. America, come on. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, one story that was in the news in our local newspaper that I found to be very, very, man, you talk about just, you shake your head and you go, can people get any lower than this? The hummingbird donation box up at Shoshone Basin, some absolute destitute of any common sense or decency, stupid, never mind, I gotta watch what I say, I get so upset, stole the donation box. Really think about it. These beautiful little hummingbirds, and it's a sanctuary up there in Shoshone Basin, about 50 miles from here, and some devoid of any common sense or decency twit stole the donation box and probably got at the most about $15. I mean, come on. What kind of a society are we living in? Here people, and I put in a donation when we were up there. I stuck some money in there because I think it's fantastic. All those little hummingbirds and the lockbox up there. You know, people go up there twice a week to make sure they've got the food and the feeders and everything. I think it's great. And then some twit with the IQ of a bicycle spoke steals the box with the donations in it. Unbelievable what our society has turned into. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. The only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. And believe me, they want you to come by, take a visit, take a tour, and you'll find out why. The people that stay there are absolutely in love with the place. That's absolutely the truth. It's a 16-bed facility, and I'll guarantee you they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. Please give them a call, stop in. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Oh, my goodness sakes, we got a full hour next hour, beginning with Cody Wilson. And Cody is owner and proprietor of GhostGunner.net. And he's going to tell us about left wing, right wing, any wing. We've got to be prepared for bad people coming into our area. And then at 10:30 this morning, we're going to talk to Kyla Sawyer, the head of the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce, on the eclipse. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Deb. You know, here years back, I can't remember how many years it was, when Boise was in that huge expanse and all these subdivisions and everything, and they were right next to this farmer who had alfalfa and everything there. And because he had to bale his alfalfa, when the dew was on, those people signed complaints against him and everything, and just, if I remember right, just literally put him out of business.
Yeah, I remember that story too, Keith, and it just is absolute incompetency and idiocy that people don't remember that farmers are out there trying to make a living. They're out there doing things at hours when other people are in bed because of the way it has to be done, and I'm sick and tired of the idiocy that's going on in this country to denigrate private property ownership and farming practices and try to put them asunder. A country that can't feed itself is a country that's going to be self-servient to others, and that's what these nincompoops are driving us to in this country.
Another instance is, it's called Water Canyon. It's right there at the foot of the Albion grade, and they put in a subdivision, and just a mile or so from there is Stoker's Dairy. And those people were complaining about the dairy that has been there for years and years and years.
Yeah, I just, don't get me started.
I don't know what this world's becoming.
Yeah, I know. I've got to run to the news, Keith. You're 100% right in what you brought up this morning, and you just have to shake your head sometimes as to the idiocy that's going on. Got to go. My friend, thank you, and happy birthday to Nancy. We'll be back in about 7 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away. Oh, good morning, welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. I know, you've got all the weekend to get refreshed, and then you come back to work on Monday morning, you're going, well, it's going to be a beautiful day, and the eclipse is about an hour and a half away. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. I had this gentleman on my program a couple of weeks ago, and I told him on the air I wanted to have him back because I think he really is, quote-unquote, a straight shooter. And that's Cody Wilson, the owner and proprietor of GhostGunner.net, and he's the author of the groundbreaking book called Come and Take It, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. And we say good morning to Cody. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Okay, Tony, I'm going to get right to the stampede here. I'm really, really worried that the offshoot nut jobs like Antifa Black Lives Matter, the neo-Nazis, etc., soon their presence could be felt all across the United States at rallies and protests, etc. And to be honest with you, I'm just doggone glad that I've got a gun and I know how to use it. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I think street-level violence is becoming a feature of these so-called protests and rallies. And the point is obviously to incite some type of level of response from the state and from police and to get people radicalized on one side of the political spectrum or the other. So I don't think it's not gonna decelerate, and we're gonna need to be able to protect ourselves.
Now, when you say protect ourselves, right there, an open-end statement somewhat, because the police are always saying, we'll give them a call, 911, they'll be there. Well, the police can't be there at a split second. They can't be there maybe in 4, 5, 10, 20 minutes. And I think that people have to learn how to protect themselves from literally the mobs that are out there in our society today. And on the other side of that coin, I want you to respond that many times when the police are there, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's actually where I would take your observation as well. There's a bit of doublethink happening. Like, the left is saying, we have racist, evil police, right? Racist, evil, Nazis living all over the country. Well, you need a gun if you really believe that. And number two, if you're being accused of all of these things, and if you're thinking that police are going to help you in your free speech rally, well, you're out of your mind. If you see some of these videos, they're letting the riots happen as an excuse to empower mayors and governors and to create a media narrative that advantages them. No one's going to be there to protect you on the other side of this thing. So again, both sides, if they're honest, know that they have to provide for their own protection. Police are a convenient political option that is not really being used for either side.
How did they get away with this, Tony? I sat there and listened to the Charlottesville police chief, and I've listened to others saying, oh, well, we just didn't want to get in and make the problem worse. We didn't want to exacerbate the problem. That's the nuttiest, stupidest thing I've ever heard. The police are hired and paid for the taxpayers, for the tax-paying public and their property protection. And to stand back and do nothing, I find obscene.
I think this is a bit cynical, but I mean, especially as city budgets and state budgets begin to tighten, and money doesn't grow on trees anymore in this country, you begin to see like the ironies of democratic control. And I don't just mean big D democratic control; I just mean in general. You require more and more money for less and less services, so you end up with these incredible excuses, like we saw on the East Coast and the West Coast, saying like, "Well, we simply just don't have the power to protect the parade, to protect the city square, to protect 100 so-called protesters." Well, then what do you have the power to do?
Okay, but then therein lies another problem that the liberal left is saying, okay, they can't protect this, they're not there to do anything, so we'll cancel the event in fear that something will happen. And that's just what the left wants done. They want the cancellation of a lot of these events, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you see the same thing happening with many more crocodile tears at America's public and private universities. They say, like, well, because we can't guarantee everyone's safety, the event can't continue. And, of course, this is just the de facto way of shutting down speech. You get to do it in this kind of humanist way, but that's all an excuse, because all the left is involved with right now is just this will to shut down opinions. They'd rather cut out your tongue than even hear you utter a syllable of dissent right now.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Cody, and I'm going to bring up another personality and another organization, and that's Dana Lash with the NRA and a TV ad that's running, and get your response to it. A legal gun owner in his home, protecting himself, may have to shoot and, quite frankly, may have to kill the intruder. And I think there's a lot of truth to the fact that even though you operated in a legal fashion, protecting you, your family, and your home, that person that pulled the trigger might end up with more problems than they can stand. Am I right?
Oh, that's absolutely right. You got to know if you discharge a firearm defending yourself in your home. As justified as that sounds, you're about to go through an incredible legal experience, especially if you're in a state that just favors gun rights, which is a lot of states these days. And so I wouldn't, if people are carrying in their homes and think they'll defend themselves in their homes, I've got to say, you've either got to get USA Carry or one of the Legal Shield options. You got to get something so you can pay for these attorneys, because the cities, the governors, they are more than willing to bring you through hell for exercising your constitutional right.
What would they rather have? A completely chaotic state of violence where people can go into people's homes, take what they wish, go out with what they wish, maybe beat up and or steal from the occupants? Would they want that kind of a chaotic society instead of a homeowner bringing it to a close? I mean, I just do not understand the thinking in this country anymore.
I'm with you. I would used to say, well, no, that sounds extreme. How could they possibly want, a state of chaos and violence? But then again, you look at Rahm Emanuel, you look at the people resisting Trump's directives on sanctuary cities, and you're left to only conclude that literally these people prefer immigrant criminal aliens to the traditional American civic society. There's a kind of antipathy for it. They hate the civil society that was built here. They see it as evil, and they want to do kind of everything they can to subvert it actively. And if that means, there's a kind of happiness about punishing you when they catch you for things like using your constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms,
Cody, where are we at right now in this country? If you were to look at a needle, 1 being not too bad, 10 being, whoa, look out, we're in trouble, where are we at for gun owners, legal gun owners in this country, and how the law is leaned against them? Where are we at in your opinion?
I can at least speak to this a little bit, right? My life experience prevents me from evaluating, a lot of these movements relative to periods like the 60s and 70s, right? I wasn't around. But I can say definitively it's the best of times and the worst of times for the American Second Amendment, because the judiciary hates it, okay? The judiciary will not give you your due when you get into court. If you think, well, I'm protected by the Constitution, the judiciary they'll back me up. Good luck, buddy. Really. But in terms of active rights, the states and state legislatures have given you more things than have been on the books in a long time. So there's constitutional carry, concealed carry. There's never been more available guns for purchase and easier purchase of ammunition. There's lots of commercial products for insurance and other things to protect you in use of that gun. And we officially have, since 2008, the Heller Second Amendment, where the government has to begrudgingly admit that you have the individual right to keep and bear arms in your home and outside of the home. So we've never had that before. We've never had all of that, even in the 90s and the early 2000s. So technically it's better than it's ever been. It's just that we all know that the rising tide of leftism basically spells, at some point, its demise.
Stop right there, Cody, because you bring up an excellent point that coincides with my next question. When we look at these idiots, these twits that are tearing down the statues and trying to erase our history, and then they equate that with denigrating George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, etc., the same people that helped mold our Constitution, I see a direct attack on our Constitution almost to the point where these left-wing nuts want to try to rewrite and throw away the old Constitution and start over. Do you share some of the same fears I do or not?
Well, I think your fears are well-grounded, and in fact are just cautious, descriptions of reality. You certainly don't have an unreasonable fear. It's obviously the long-term project of the American left and American post-left to simply rewrite the Constitution as this living document, right? To reinterpret it into absurdity, to invent rights where there are none, and where there are expressly rights written out for all to see, to pretend that it doesn't say what it says about them. So this is obviously the long-term American project since at least the last century for the left. But as well, look, if Charlottesville had been not a car, but a gun, if Charlottesville had been a simple shooting on the part of one of these militias, these right-wing militias, I think we actually have a whole lot of trouble right now about not just mine, but a ton of cities and states starting to pass draconian gun stuff. And I'm not sure the courts would bail us out on that. So in a sense, we might have dodged a bullet.
Absolutely. Now, tell us a little bit about your book, the Come and Take It, the Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. What exactly, give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of your book.
Oh, sure. That book is a history of our company, Defense Distributed. And our company is known for developing some of the first software and hardware for 3D printing of guns, which still sounds kind of sci-fi, but it's related to a lot of different ways of making guns with digital devices. And so our company now has grown up, and we teach people all the time all the different ways to make guns at home, from CNC machines to printers to, you name it. And that book basically is an intellectual history of our company, from idea to reality.
Where did they get a copy of your book? I mean, how did they obtain? Is it on Amazon? Give us some of the particulars.
Sure. Yeah, Come and Take It's on Amazon. It's at booksellers like Barnes and Noble. I mean, it's published by Simon & Schuster, so it's a big book, and it's out in paperback now. But really, we recommend people just check us out online as well. We're Defense Distributed. We sell a machine, the Ghost Gunner, and thank you. I heard you talking about it. We just want people to know that beyond the Second Amendment, protections on the course, they also have a do-it-yourself power. You can make articles protected by the Second Amendment. You're allowed to do that, and you should, we think.
Let me ask you this, Cody, and I don't mean to sound naive when I ask this question, but let's go back 165 years into the days of the, quote, Old West, right here in this area where I live. Where did we abdicate, and when and by whom did we abdicate the right to carry firearms anywhere we wanted to? When all of a sudden in our country did they start to have gun laws to the point where we literally had to leave them in the closet?
Well, that's actually a pretty complex answer. States like Virginia and some of the old Eastern Seaboard had carry laws in the books a long, long time ago, actually. I think something of the gun in American life kind of disappeared for a while, and, we see the John Ford movies and stuff, and we only associate American gun culture with, like, the West. I think by the time, like, the early Republic began to urbanize, people began to really disfavor the carrying of guns, and it became a staple more of just frontier living and country living. And then we developed two distinct gun cultures about that. So the American South and the American West are much more comfortable with guns now over the last couple hundred years, and the American East pretends that it never had a relationship with them, even though we depended upon that culture to fight the Civil War with the British. So it's actually pretty complex. You look back in the past and you see a lot of laws about carrying guns in ways that we would disagree with now. But then again, you have, in states like Texas, we never restricted the carrying of long guns. Even today, you could go carry a long gun down to the courthouse in Austin, Texas. People would be upset about that, but it's always been that way. So it's been this kind of patchwork of laws. But thankfully, the Supreme Court finally saw fit to take a couple cases, in McDonald and Heller, where it implemented the Second Amendment as an individual right in all 50 states.
What do you feel yourself, Cody, as far as where we're at in our society? I'm not going to stop using and or carrying my guns when I deem necessary, but do you see more of the left, more of the Chuck Schumers, more of the left wanting to take away our guns, more of an assault on the Second Amendment? You would know this better than most. What's going on behind the scenes?
Well, thanks for the question that way. I appreciate the compliment, but I think we all know that at the federal level, gun laws aren't exactly easy to pass right now, both with Trump and a Republican-controlled Congress. Not that there aren't efforts or that Democratic caucuses in the House aren't kind of showing that they'd like to pass these laws, but really where the action is right now is at the state level in states like Oregon, Washington, especially California, states like Massachusetts and Connecticut. These states have recently, in the last couple of years, had success in passing laws to restrict your right to transfer firearms, your right to register them, additional restrictions against the AR-15, like in Massachusetts and California. they are making progress there because they're funded by men like Michael Bloomberg and his billions of dollars. And new grassroots organizations have been founded in the past few years, which are helping the statewide effort. So if they can't pass gun laws, they'll pass state referendums on the question. And that seems to be where the progress is right now. And the NRA is fighting. The NRA has a lot of money, but it's undeniable that some of the public polling and some of the public opinion in many of these states on the East Coast and West Coast is heavily not in our favor.
You talk about states on the East Coast. I mean, some of the ridiculous draconian gun laws and prohibitions and regulations in the state of New York. I mean, I'd hate to be a citizen living in upstate New York and Albany, New York, and trying to protect myself. It's almost virtually impossible.
Yeah, look, they call New York the Empire State for a reason now. If you're serious about your gun rights, there must be something really good holding you to New York, because they've been completely abrogated there with the New York SAFE Act and other things. And, a really sad story out of there was, Justice Scalia at the Supreme Court, and may he rest in peace, but there was going to be a great appeal out of New York for the New York SAFE Act, an attempt to take the question of the AR-15 to the Supreme Court. And when Justice Scalia died, they scuttled that effort. They decided not to appeal because they knew the Supreme Court at that point, if it did take the case, would probably kill our right to the AR-15.
Oh my!
It's very sad. There are many state circuit areas now, federal circuit areas, where people are no longer even appealing the injustices done to them and against their Second Amendment, because they know that the political winds don't favor their appeal.
What about I've got a question. What about somebody that leaves a state where you can have the concealed carry, etc., and travels through other states and then ends up eventually in New York? I've heard stories, and I know of stories, where they could be arrested as felons just for having the gun in their vehicle. Is that correct?
Yeah, there are cases that happen, and you are advised by the NRA and other groups not to make certain travel that way if you are carrying a gun or ammunition. There's talk that the Congress will pass this so-called Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act,
right,
and kind of enforce concealed carry recognition across all 50 states, almost no matter what license you have from what state. Until that happens, yeah, states like California and New York can get you for crossing state lines, should they see fit, and they are seeing fit to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're bringing one of your guns like your beloved AR-15. It's a hairy situation out there. I remember in the past, and this is before Sandy Hook, before people would make certain kinds of cross-country trips, they'd call the NRA, they'll call their lawyers, they'll say, well, what state should I go to and how? You'll have to plan your whole route based on what guns you're carrying. That's extremely prejudicial to your constitutionally protected right.
I really enjoy having this man on our program, and he is the owner and proprietor of GhostGunner.net, and also the author of Come and Take It, the Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free, and that, of course, is Cody Wilson. Thank you, Cody. God bless you. Come back on the program in the future if you would.
Hey, a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. He tells it like it is, and I still maintain that we need to protect ourselves and our family. The police, sheriff's departments, etc., cannot be all things to all situations in the drop of a hat. We need to be prepared. We need to know how to operate a firearm and how to protect our families. Whoa, I got to pay some bills here real quick, and I want to remind you about a segment we have on Thursdays. It's called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Oh, they've got new merchandise arriving weekly. They've got all the fall dresses. They've got all the fall baby clothing, and they've got all the baby furniture. They've got the games, the puzzles, and the toys. Oh, my goodness! It's all there. At A Child's World, 1308 Overland and Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also, our other sponsor of School Days in Cassia County, Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley. The number to call and find out more about how they can save you money on outpatient surgeries, 677-8888. 677-8888. Life-saving colonoscopies, carpal tunnel, hand surgeries, much, much more. Call them today. Ambulatory Surgery Center at 677-8888. Along with A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10, right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, did you have a good weekend? I got a minute or so here before I'm going to send it back to you. I understand you went to the fair, you took my advice and had a delicious maple bar.
Yeah, it was good. I took my little brother because he really wanted to go too. He hasn't really been able to go there for the past few years, and so I took him Friday night, and we had a blast. It was really fun. To be honest, between the Cassia Fair and the mini Cassia Fair, they do pretty well. They even had stand-up comedy over there. I only kind of listened, but it seemed like a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad that you had a chance to go to the fair. I'm glad you're feeling better. And of all the things that you said and all the things that you ate and all the money that you spent, what was the most memorable?
I would say seeing how many people were there and just how family-oriented it was. It's not exactly, what they put on at the fair, but just seeing that everybody came as a family.
Yeah, I agree.
It was really fun seeing a bunch of people get together and having laughs and smiling and having a great time.
Well, it's also great to hear you smiling and laughing and having a great time back over there at the studio. You're welcome, and don't forget Lunch Bunch coming up this Thursday, Wheels. I hope you can be in attendance.
I actually definitely will be. I'm bringing my mother this time, so it should be a lot of fun.
All right, we'll look forward to it. That's going to be at Denny's Restaurant this Thursday at 11:30, and our thanks go out for our gift certificates. We're going to thank Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin. Lots of fun at the Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's, America's Diner, on 11:30 this Thursday. Don't you miss it. Wheels, take it away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And thank you very much and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch, our last half hour. A couple of weeks ago, Kyla from the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce was on the air, and I invited her to come on my program this morning and talk about the Great American Eclipse. And Wheels, are you going to tell me that she's not available?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to leave a voicemail for her, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to call again, though.
Okay, I'll have Deanne call also, and we'll try to find her and remind her that she's on the air right now. Until we get her, we have the phone lines open and ready for your calls at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Of all the things I've read about this eclipse, and everybody says the same thing, please, please, please do not think that you can have a pair of sunglasses, be the sunglasses the very best you can buy or even the cheap ones. You cannot look at the sun and the eclipse through your sunglasses. You could end up with absolutely a deterioration of your eyesight permanently. So don't do that. And approximately an hour. About an hour from right now, the total eclipse. And Deanne and I have a couple of pair of glasses that are made just for the eclipse. And I'm urging everybody that don't look at the sun. We are right in, not the total eclipse pathway. I think it's a little bit further north, like up at Idaho Falls, Chalice, Salmon area. And but we're going to see almost like 98%. Did you find her?
Yeah, she's calling Wheels right
now. Oh, she's calling you right now, Wheels. Is the phone ringing?
She's outside.
Oh, okay.
So she's going to be on her cell
I'm trying to get a hold of Wheels, and Wheels, is she calling? Evidently.
Yes, sir, she is.
All right. We have Kyla Sawyer, the head of the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce, on the program with us right now. Are you outside? Are you all ready? What's going on?
Hi, Zeb. We are outside, and if you've got your special eclipse glasses on, you can see that the moon is just beginning to pass over the top of the sun, and it's pretty exciting. So, again, don't look directly at the sun, and hopefully folks have their eclipse glasses. And I've got a great idea for those of you that are stuck inside today. There is a website that you can look at. NASA is going to be live streaming the eclipse, and I've got that site for you. So go ahead and get on Eclipse, ECLIPSE 2017.nasa.gov, and you'll be able to see the live stream if you're stuck inside today, and it won't hurt your eyes.
Okay.
So just a couple things I want to chat with you about, Zeb. Hope you're having a wonderful day. But there's been a few closures. First Federal, they are announcing that their branches will be closed from 10:30 to 12:30 today. D.L. Evans Bank is going to be closed from 11 to noon today. And Kimberly Nurseries will also be closed all day today. But other than that, most folks are treating this just as another day, letting their employees go outside, checking out the eclipse, and just enjoying this from Mother Nature. So.
Well, now you're outside right now, and you are our roving reporter, if you will. Is this as big a deal, Kyla, as people thought it was? I mean, I thought Saturday when I went to Pocatello for that World Series Open that the freeways would be absolutely clogged with people, and it was not the case. I mean, is this as big in Idaho as we thought it would be?
I think in certain areas it's as big, but not. I think that. Kudos to the transportation department. They just want everybody to be prepared. And how do you even predict this stuff? The next one of these will be not in our lifetime, Zeb. So I think that tomorrow will really be telling for a lot of folks. I think traveling back, I think a lot of people took several days to get to their locations. We've seen some of the traffic jams that are happening over in like the Prineville, Oregon area. But I would caution that that's a 2-lane highway going to a pretty remote location in Oregon, in Prineville. And so, I just really tomorrow will be telling, I think, more so than today. Right now, I think it's been I-15 heading up to the Idaho Falls area that's seen quite a bit of traffic. And then we've heard some reports that they're expecting things as people return to their locations or try to get back to major airports that you might see in those major thoroughfares. A little bit more traffic than you're used to, and you're just going to have to be patient. Make sure you have the car gassed up and you've got some extra food in the car with you.
What's the difference, Kyla, in location, let's say like here, Burley, Rupert, Murtaugh, Twin Falls, as compared to up in Idaho Falls, Chalice area up there? How much of a degree of difference will we have in seeing the eclipse?
Well, I think the biggest thing is for the real science buffs, the folks that are way into this, they want to see that 100% totality, meaning the moon is entirely covering the sun. And so that's why that band that you've seen publicized in the media that goes across the country, certain areas, so Weiser, kind of Cascade, going into, Stanley, and then coming on down into Idaho Falls, Rexburg area, they're going to get 100%. And so for a lot of folks, they just want that experience of 100%. Now, here in our neck of the woods, I'm standing here in Hayburn, Idaho, we're going to get about 97, 96%. So it might look like there's a little bit of a chunk cut out of one little sliver side. I'm fine with that, but for other people, this is a huge deal. We've heard reports that hotel rooms in lots of places are at 99%, 100% sold out. We've got huge delegations from like China and Japan up in the Sun Valley area that have rented out hotel spaces. We've heard of other folks that have rented houses for some pretty outrageous prices, and folks that are renting little farmer field patches for $500 a pop. So if it's worth it to you, go for it. If it's not, and you're like me, I'm just going to stand outside today with my solar eclipse glasses that I bought for $2 and enjoy the show.
You know, you bring up an excellent point right there, Kyla, and you're so good at giving this information. I have had numerous calls since last week about what glasses or which glasses are the only ones acceptable to really look at the sun during the eclipse. How do people know if they've got a good, quote-unquote, pair of glasses?
Sure, that's actually pretty easy. So I'm going to read this from you. It's from NASA. I'm going to trust NASA. They seem to know what they're doing a heck of a lot more than I do when it comes to this sort of stuff. But what you want to look for on your glasses, even the paper ones, which is what I'm using, it says meets the requirement for ISO, and it has a specific number. It says 12312-2, and then it'll show the year on there. So it might say 2015 or 2017. And so supposedly these are safe for direct solar viewing. And honestly, when we got these, they look like the old-style 3D glasses that you used to have in the movie theaters. Mm-hmm. Even those are a lot more high-tech now. But anyway, we were looking through them, and I'm like, I can't see a thing. I can't see a thing. How do we even know they work? Well, now I can turn around, and I can tell you that they work. And I'm not having that effect when I turn away from the sun of, you know, the spots in the eyes and things like that. And it is pretty serious. We've had a lot of folks say, can we use welding helmets and other types of stuff? We've been told from all the sources we've gotten, no, you really need to have these eclipse glasses. Or if you can get online right now, you can take a cereal box or a box and make the viewing stuff for this. That's pretty inexpensive. So, or just get online to that website. I'll read it again real quick for everybody out there. But it is, let's see if I can get my paper here because I'm balancing a lot of stuff in my hands. But it's basically pretty easy, eclipse2017.nasa.gov. So if you're inside, and, you know, that's a really safe way to be able to view the eclipse. It's just right there online.
But with the glasses that you mentioned that are with that number, 12312-2, can you or should you look at the sun directly, or are you still a little hesitant about possibility of doing something that might damage your eyesight?
No, I'm feeling pretty good about it, actually, because honestly, when you're looking at these, we got these glasses in, and we got these in months ago, and I'm looking through them, it's dark as can be. I was like, do these even work? I can't even tell if these can work, because we can't see a thing with them on. You know, the old 3D glasses that had the blue, or the green and the blue on one side and the red on the other, you could definitely see through them, but these are completely different, and so we're just basically, I've got the staff out here, we're just holding our glasses up to our face, and it's kind of cool, because right now you can see, if you're, you know, listening to the radio and you've got your solar eclipse glasses or what have you outside, it looks like the top half of the moon is beginning to pass over the sun, so it's about, like, I'd say about a third of the way there, so it's kind of cool. It's not quite getting dark out or anything yet. But yeah, I'm feeling just fine, and I don't have any spots when I turn away. I'm not an ophthalmologist, but right now I feel pretty safe with these. It's a lot of fun, actually.
I have a dumb question for you because I should have researched this before I asked, but what about livestock? What about horses or dogs or anything else that might look up? Will they damage their eyesight?
You know what? I called a friend of mine who's a vet over in Blackfoot this morning, and I just said, hey, what are the animals going to do? And he said, Kyla, they don't really care. I mean, some people who are animal activists out there might get all mad at me for saying that, but he said, really, they're just going to think that, hey, it got dark, and then, hey, it got light. He said roosters might crow when the sun comes back around. But, you know, for the most part, he didn't believe that animals were really going to be looking and staring like we are at the sun. Animals are just going to be feeding and doing what animals do. So, you know, I know people have bought glasses for their pets, and more power to you, but in terms of cattle and livestock and all of that, you know, I think it's just going to be another day out on the farm for them.
Well, talk a little bit about the duration of this eclipse. You said that you can see where it's starting already. Now, I was told, maybe I'm wrong on my information source, that actually the totality of the eclipse will be about 11:32. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's, you know, depending on where exactly you're standing right now. So I've got our stuff here for like Burley, Hayburn, Rupert area. So this started, the moon began to pass in front of the sun at approximately 12 minutes after 10 o'clock. our time here in Idaho, over here in Hayburn. And then around 11:29, 11:32, so you can say, give or take a minute there, is when it will be at the full thing that we can see here, which is that 96, 97% and coverage. And it will be dark, and it will probably here real shortly start to feel like it's getting dark, like a little bit of a sunset, but the sun is still straight up in the sky. And then the whole thing will be done, they said, almost around 1 o'clock, but about, 12:53, something like that. So it's going to come down, pass over the sun, and then it'll begin to slowly let the sun come back out again. So it's kind of cool, actually. So I know a lot of folks are sitting out in their chair, just enjoying the sunshine right now, looking up, at the sun with their glasses. I just posted a picture of our staff. We look like we're looking at a movie in the middle of the day, but that's what we look like. So it's just kind of a fun event for everybody to enjoy.
From one of the sources that I was reading, they said, and I'll read it to you and then you can tell me, they said the sky will darken dramatically with bright stars and planets becoming visible at midday. Had you heard the same thing?
Yes, I've heard that. So I'm excited to see if that's actually going to come true. We're lucky right now. Most of the area looks like it's fairly cloud-free. We've got some wispy clouds kind of over here by us by Hayburn. But other than that, it's been a beautiful day today. So it'll be super fun to see if that's how dark it gets. So I'm as excited as you are, Zeb, to see how this is all going to shake out.
Well, now, this thing is going to go across all the way to the East Coast, and Deanne just brought me in, and thank you, Deanne. She just went outside with the glasses that we got from your office, and like you had stated earlier, that 1/3 of the sun is now dark. Is that the same thing that you're seeing?
Yes, actually that is. Yep, but it doesn't feel like it outside quite yet. So.
Well, I wished I had my microphone.
Right now it just feels like a normal day outside, but I can definitely, when I turn and look through the glasses, I would say about, 1/3 of the sun is covered. So I'm hoping here, maybe in the next, several minutes or whatever, folks will start to say, it's starting to get dark out. But I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. I never was on television, but stuff like this is kind of fun. You got to stop and enjoy it for just a little bit, I think.
One of the things, Kyla, that I think needs to be mentioned right here for safety precaution is what about parents letting their kids out, playing, running around? They will have a tendency, I would think, to look up at the sun without the glasses quicker than an adult. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, yeah, sure, kids are going to do that. Heck, I know adults that are probably going to do that, let's be honest. But, honestly, the glasses make a big difference. Or go get the cereal box real quickly if you want to YouTube it right now, or just look up how to make a solar eclipse viewer. You could probably do this in like 5 minutes if you've got a cereal box and some aluminum foil. So really easy to do. Just encourage them not to do that, because everything we've seen on the media and everything that we've heard is just, you're going to damage your eyes. It's like any other day. If you look at the sun directly, you will damage your eyes. So not a good idea at all. Or just, pop it up on the computer or on your laptop or your, Kindle or whatever it is that you've got handy, to take a look at this online. And again, we've got that site for you. I think I've read it a few times today, but eclipse2017.nasa.gov. And that's going to be kind of fun because they're just going to show you live streaming. I know there's a lot of folks who can't get outside. There's some folks that are sick or they're in hospitals. That's what they're going to be doing today, is bringing that up for everybody on their television screen so they can enjoy this as well.
Kyla, I've heard, and I'm going to let you go in just a minute, but I've heard that, I don't know if it was NASA or who, but they hired a whole bunch of photographers to be at various places from Oregon all the way down to South Carolina, and they're going to be photographing this in stage frequency with walkie-talkies and cell phones and everything in communication with each other, so they can get a direct step-by-step, second-by-second of all this solar eclipse. And this sounds to me like it's going to be fantastic to see afterwards.
I think so. I have heard the same thing, Zeb. I wish I had that site, but I'm sure you could just honestly Google NASA and eclipse, and they're going to post everything. But what spectacular technology we have right now to be able to capture this. at this moment in time and be able to study it and take a look at it and what effects it may or may not have on things in our world. And I just think it's going to be a fun event, you know, and what a great thing for our country. We get to enjoy this all day long, I guess, basically. And some areas it will last longer. You know, we're just going to have about that, 2 minutes or so of almost totality here where we live. In places like Georgia and heading on down there have it even longer. But that's why groups from all over the world are, heading to the mountains and the areas in the totality path across the country just to capture this, which is fantastic. So we've got people really from all over the world here in Idaho and other parts of the country that came just to enjoy this, which is pretty spectacular if you think about it.
And it won't happen again for how long?
You know, I knew you were going to ask me that, and that I did not write down, but it's something outrageous. Like, partial eclipses, I'm told, happen, almost every year in different parts of the world. But this to have a totality and the fact that it's really almost every part of the country except, coming down the middle band there is really going to enjoy and get a chance to see it is pretty fun and pretty special. But I think it's not in our lifetime, Zeb. So, I'm sure we could go find a total eclipse somewhere else on the globe. But, just to be able to enjoy it right here in your backyard is a pretty special event.
Kyla, I want to say thank you. You've given an excellent play-by-play of what's going on. Give us one more quick observance. Look up there with your glasses and tell us how much more has taken place since we started our conversation.
I wish this was like a football game. I could tell you that it's just running across that sun, but it's really not. It's going to take a while. You remember 11:29, 11:32, depending on where you are here in the Mini-Cache and Magic Valley area, that's when it will totally pass over. So right now it's a little bit more. I'd say that it's a little bit more than a third. This is not, it's kind of like watching paint dry, but it's still fun in the process. I think the minute you walk outside and you put your eclipse glasses on and people look up at there, they're like, oh my gosh, really? Because right now I'm outside and it just doesn't feel like it's getting dark. But I'm sure here in just a little bit it will, and that'll be a lot of fun for everybody. So just be safe out there today, folks, and enjoy this event, and have fun, and let's, just all be smart. The biggest thing I've noticed around town, Zeb, just to add this in quick, is be careful where you're pumping gas because some people are about 10 cents higher than other people.
Amen, yeah.
I think some folks are taking advantage of the fact that, yes, that we've got people traveling through. So for all us locals out there and everybody, just be safe while you're traveling and pay attention to the gas prices.
Wonderful lady, and I can't thank her enough for sharing part of the experience of the Great American Eclipse right here on my radio program. Kyla from the Mini-Cache Chamber of Commerce, God bless you. Be safe and enjoy the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, thank you. Wow. I can notice sitting here in my studio, Deanne, you can kind of see it looks like almost a haze, doesn't it? A little bit shadowy outside. Be careful. Don't look at it directly, and I'm going to take off in just a minute and go outside and watch the eclipse like everybody else is. Right now, we're going to have the weather forecast brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew with the most delicious of meats from their retail meat department, prime ribs all the way to bacon. I'm telling you what, they are delicious. You got to stop over or give them a call at Scarrow's Meats. And right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Well, we're going to have pretty decent sunshine for the eclipse. Good morning, Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. Today, expecting sunshine and a high around 88, except for around 11:30. Going to have some obstruction. Clear tonight with a low of 54. Sunshine tomorrow, a high of 92. Partly cloudy for Tuesday night, expecting a low of 59. Then maybe a chance of some showers moving in on Wednesday, around 20% chance of that happening, and a high of 86. That's your Zeb of the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Oh, he does a great Great job. Thank you, Scotty. Brought to you, everybody, by Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Delicious. All their meats, the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst, you name it. You're going to love it at Scarrows Meats. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrows Meats. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to impose on my itty-bitty buddy over there, and we're going to talk about our major sponsor here quickly, and then I am going to run outside and check on the eclipse, and we want to say thank you very much to all of the 7 locations of our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Get where you're going this summer, and then turn around and come home safely. That's right, they've got all your tires for your pickup, your SUVs, your cars, your trailers, everything, and they want to serve you with safe driving. That's right, and also ask about a free pre-trip safety check, and they'll give you a visual inspection of your tires, including the air pressure and the wheel alignment for tire wear, front-end components, brake components, shocks and struts, battery, including a load test. They want you to have a good vacation and get where you're going, and then come home safely. All 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well, again, I want to reiterate, be careful. Guard your eyesight out there watching the eclipse. Make sure that you've got the right glasses on. Don't look at the sun without them or with regular sunglasses. No, no, no. And have a good day enjoying what has turned into a great big party all across the United States, and that's with our great big American eclipse. We're going to be on tomorrow morning at 10:06 with a lot of 8:06 with a lot of great guests for you until 11 o'clock right here on KBAR 1230 and then streaming live on ZebBell.com. Until tomorrow morning, get out there and enjoy the eclipse. Zeb at the Ranch saying the way things were are the way things ought to be. Be careful out there and enjoy.